Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. Well, I thought we would do another bold prediction show. Since the draft is over, we've pretty much signed our unrestricted free agents. We signed our free agents. We signed our undrafted free agents. We will probably be tweaking the roster here and there, but I wanted to have one last bold prediction. And this is going to be my only bold prediction until we get into training camp. And I would just like to say right off the bat, thank you for all the people who believe in free speech that reported my draft video as hate speech to YouTube. That was awesome, having to deal with all of that, and still having to go through and deal with all this. So, yeah, you know what? If you don't like what we're saying, that's okay. If you like to disagree, just leave a comment. There's no reason to make up things and send it over to YouTube. But here we go. Let's just jump into our one bold prediction for the New York Giants 2020 season. I was thinking about it yesterday. I was taking a look at who we signed in free agency, who we drafted. And yes, I am not a huge fan of our draft class after the second round. I thought we could have went for more talent instead of more scheme guys, or guys that may have talent that may blossom 3 years down the road, but that's neither here nor there. But looking at the talent that we did draft, looking at who we signed in free agency, look who's coming back, looking at our last two draft classes and how they might progress, I was thinking, and also we just did a video on the Patrick Graham scheme, and then what we may be running, and we also did a video on the Garrett offense. So after looking at all that and listening to some of the comments from Joe Judge and looking at the schedule, I am, drumroll please, predicting that the New York Giants will go 9-7 and make the playoffs.
Playoffs?
Now, at first I thought I was insane until I went through the schedule. And let's briefly go through the schedule. We don't have the dates yet, and we don't even know if we're going to be running a full schedule, how that's going to work. But let's just run through the schedule first. We're going to play the Ravens in Baltimore, so I'm projecting that as a loss. We're going to play the Bears in Chicago. That'll be a win. We have the Bengals in Cincinnati. I'm calling that a win. We're going to have the Dallas game, of course, in Texas. That's going to be, I'm projecting a loss on that. We're going to do the Rams at home. The Rams have some issues, but I think they are going to, I think they are going to win that game. And then we have the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Redskins, and the Cards at home. I am predicting 4 in a row there. I am predicting that we are going to take out the Cowboys, that we are, believe it or not, going to beat the Eagles jinx, because I think the shine is coming off Doug Peterson. If you have to draft a quarterback because you want to change things up from your current quarterback with Carson Wentz, there may be problems in the cheesesteak family. And then, like I said, I'm predicting a win over the Redskins. I like Ron Rivera. I think he's going to do well. I think Chase Young is going to wreak havoc. But we have, I think, the great equalizer in Andrew Thomas. So I'm taking the Redskins home game against the Giants and calling that a win. And then I'm doing the Card game. Of course, if anyone remember the Cardinals game from last year, it was a sloppy game off the bye week. It was a bad game, which we lost. But I'm calling that a revenge game. And then we're going to go to the 49ers away in San Francisco. I'm going to project that as a loss. We are going to have the Browns at home. It's going to be the potential return of Odell Beckham. I am thinking, though, that by then, depending on when it is the season, the Giants will have gelled. The young secondary will come together. Patrick Graham, if you watched that last video, will create the pass rush that we need to get to the quarterback. I am calling that a Giants win. Then we have the Steelers at home. I'm actually thinking the Steelers at home, I'm going to give them a loss because we always need a trap game in the schedule. That always happens. It always happens with the Giants, even going back to the Super Bowl years, except for 86 and 90. So I am going to call that as a loss. But it could be a gimme game. It could be an even game, but we're projecting it as a loss right now. Then we have the Tampa game at home. Without Jameis Winston, I am not, Tampa's got some talent. Tampa's moving their defense in the right direction. But I am not fearful of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so I'm giving us a win at home. Then we have the Eagles game away in cheesesteak land. I'm going to actually project that as a Giant loss. Then we are over in Seattle, playing against the 12th man and besides the Seahawks. Russell Wilson always has that magic, so I'm going to project that as a loss. So we are going to be looking at 8-8. And then finally, we have the Washington Redskins in Washington. Game on the line. I'm not sure when it's going to be, but you know what? I am going to project that as a win. Yes, I am projecting that as a win again. I think we have the Redskins number. I think we are going to, even though they're probably going to be gelling and playing better under Ron Rivera, the quarterback situation is still not fluid. I believe we can take that game, and we can take that game into a 9-7 record. So then if we look at what we're going to be doing, we're going to be, let's see, 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 3-1, so 3-4. So we are gonna, like I said, we are gonna be probably in divisional games, probably gonna end up 5-3, which I think is either gonna be good enough for the wild card. But who knows? Like I said, we may even be challenging for the division title potentially. And like I said, it was crazier than I thought it was, and until I started breaking it down. If the young secondary gels, if James Bradbury comes in and plays lights out, if that's always an if the linebackers, if Ryan Conley comes back, if Blake Martinez comes back to his form of covering from 2 years ago, when he, like I said, when he was the 8th coverage linebacker in the league in reference to skills. I mean, we have something there. I know we drafted a lot of linebackers in 6th and 7th round, but we said it before. Since 95, like 15% of 6th and 7th round draft choices actually make the roster and contribute in year one. Most of the time they end up in a practice squad, so we cannot look into that. I think the defensive line against the rush is going to be tight. I think, like I said, if you watch the Patrick Graham video, going through what he did in Miami and what he's done and who he was under with his tutelage at different stops in his career, I think he's going to be able to generate a rush. It actually kind of reminds me of the 2007 Giants where we used to blitz the defensive backs. Even though it's more of a James Betcher type scheme, I think it may have more of a Steve Spagnuolo final. I think it'll be more of a Steve Spagnuolo result, because like I said, Spags used to love bringing in the DBs. So I find that interesting, and I think the offense, I am worried about tight end position, and no one can say Caden Smith is going to, is not going to progress, but also we can't say that he's going to progress, and we don't know if Evan Ingram's going to stay healthy. Golden Tate's a year older. Sterling Shepard has the injury problems with the concussion. Darius Slayton has to avoid the sophomore jinx. I think the line is still in flux. I'm not sure. Like I said, everyone's like, well, we drafted the kid and he's going to take over the center position. We don't know that. We don't know what Spencer Pulley's going to do. We don't know. Like I said, I think they're going to slide Solder over to the other side and let Andrew Thomas have his spot, which I think will solidify the line. I think hopefully we have to hope Will Hernandez comes back and have his good year. Why there's a lot of ifs, I do think the New York Giants right now, unless something drastically changes, either demonstrably bad or spectacularly good, I'm seeing potentially a 9, and I can't believe I'm saying it, I am potentially seeing a 9-7 season and then making the playoffs, potentially making the playoffs. Now, it also depends on how Joe Judge coaches. We don't know yet. But like I said, I'm not sure I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel after 3 bad seasons in a row. But you know what? Yeah, it shocks me enough to say it, but I think that I am seeing 9-7 in our future and the playoffs. There are a couple games that could be trap games. Like I said, that first Redskin game at home, the card game at home, and the 49ers are definitely a better team, but you never know on any given Sunday. I do think we'll take the Brown game. You never know with the Steeler game. The Steeler game, like I said, to me is an interesting game because we don't know who the quarterback's going to be. We don't know what's going to happen with Big Ben. We don't know Mason Rudolph or anyone else is going to be the quarterback. So, that's potentially could be a game. So even if we drop another game, we still can pick that up and go 9-7. So like I said, we'll do another big, bold prediction show a little bit more into training camp. But we did one a couple months ago. And like I said, we had some predictions then. And like I said, we are predicting our bold predictions, 9-7 and the playoffs. shocking myself to even say that, but you know what? As Giant fans, you always have to hope, you always have to pray, you always have to see that the coaches are finally going to turn this corner. Let's hope it's. Like I said, most of us don't remember the 70s. I do. If anyone remembers the 70s, we had 3 head coaches before we fell into Ray Perkins in 79. So let's hope that Joe Judge is the charm. Let's hope that he is the 4th head coach. Between Coughlin, McAdoo, and Shermer, and let's hope that he is the Ray Perkins in like the 81 playoffs. Like the 81 season, we'll be back in the playoffs. So again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. If you could if you could subscribe, if you could ring the bell, if you could do all that things, that would be awesome.